In this particular lesson, we will deal with human physiology and the important concepts of class 11th NCERT. So it is the unit 5. This is the last unit. I have already covered class 12th NCERT and all the chapters of class 11th NCERT have also been covered. So this is basically 7 chapters from chapter 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 and 22. So basically, as a doctor, that is all we study in the first year: human physiology and anatomy and some biochemistry. So physiology is really important. So I can tell you exactly what UPSC is going to ask you. So chapter 16 is basically related to digestion and absorption. So this is an important chapter. Sometimes you can encounter like every year, every alternate year, you will encounter one question from a human physiology. So let's say in last 10 years, you will find 5 questions on an average. So digestive system, basically it is called as gastrointestinal tract, and some people also call it alimentary canal, but that is not that important. So like we have 2 sets of teeth: milk teeth, permanent teeth, etc. Then in your digestive system, just check out the figure 16.1. It is very important. It shows the entire digestive system completely. Then the dental formula is important: 2 1 2 3, 2 incisor, 1 canine, 2 premolar and 3 molars. So 2 1 2 3 combined together forms 8. So 8 into 4 is 32. So that is why we have 32 teeth. Then basically 16.3 talks about stomach, and then you should know that why do we have villi. Villi increases the surface area and it helps in the absorption. Then you have digestive glands, so read about it, like salivary glands are there which produces ptyalin. Then your liver is the largest gland of the body, weighs about 1.5 kgs, produces a lot of bile for the digestion of fats. Then you have gallbladder, which stores the bile, and then you have how does it open in the small intestine, pancreatic duct. All these combined together, it is called as the duct system of liver, gallbladder and pancreas. Then you have digestion of food, so it starts right from the mastication. Mastication means chabana, and facilitation of swallowing there happens. So this food product is called as bolus, and then it is like basically you take it inside the pharynx, and using the esophagus you swallow, or what is called as deglutition. Then the stomach, which has the food, it is called as chyme, and it is acidic in nature because stomach produces a lot of acid, and so on and so forth. So try to study about goblet cells, etc. They can ask you what are goblet cells. They secrete mucus basically. So enzymes like trypsin, etc. They digest proteins. Then polysaccharides under amylase and ptyalin. Fat are digested by lipases, nucleic acid by nucleases, etc. Then maltose, now this is important. So if you open chapter 264, page 264, maltose is basically glucose plus glucose, lactose is glucose plus galactose, sucrose is glucose plus fructose, and fat is fatty acids plus glycerol. So then finally the food passes into the large intestine, and nothing major happens here except water absorption and mineral absorption. Then you have table 16.1, it is important. Then some disorders of digestive system like jaundice, vomiting, diarrhea, constipation and digestion are covered here. Then you have chapter 17, which is breathing and exchange of gases. So breathing is basically like you take oxygen rich air and give out carbon dioxide rich air. And respiration is a cellular level process wherein you generate energy from oxidizing glucose. So gills are there in the aquatic animals, lungs are there in the there are people like amphibians also which have both lungs as well as gills. Some of them have gills, but they can also breathe through. Some of them have lungs rather, and they can even breathe through skin. So it is not necessary that they have just one respiratory organ. Then human respiratory system, it has like epiglottis, larynx, trachea. They finally form bronchus. Then you have sound box, which is called as larynx, and then bronchus divided into bronchioles, and they divide into alveoli. Then you have 2 lungs, in between there is heart. So try to read the figure 17.1. Then mechanism of breathing: inspiration, expiration, role of diaphragm, external muscles, etc. So try to see the figure 17.2, it becomes important. Now some respiratory volumes, they can ask you tidal volume, etc., residual volume. Try to have a basic idea what is the total lung capacity. So total lung capacity includes like the maximum amount of air which you can accommodated in the lungs at the end of a forced inspiration. Now you have exchange of gases, so that is not that important for you. partial pressure all, that is not required. Read 17.4.1, which is the transportation of oxygen. So how does oxyhemoglobin forms and all that becomes important. Then transportation of carbon dioxide, it forms carbaminohemoglobin. So 70% of the oxygen gets transferred via the hemoglobin, and there is carbaminohemoglobin as well and other forms. So try to read about them. Then regulation of respiration, basically there is an area in the brain and near pons, so that controls it. Then disorders of respiratory system like asthma, emphysema, occupational respiratory disorder, etc. Then you have chapter 18, body fluids and circulation. So basically two types of fluid you have to learn, blood and lymph. Blood is basically composed of two parts, plasma and blood cells. So plasma is basically water like, it constitutes 55%, and formed elements includes like WBC, RBC, platelets. So RBC are roughly 5 million per millimeter cube of the blood, and they are formed in the red bone marrow in the adults. They live for about 4 months, 120 days, and they contain hemoglobin, and average hemoglobin is basically we used to remember as 11, 12, 13. So 11 in normal in pregnant women, 12 in women, and 13 in males, or it can be 10, 11, 12 depending on the classification. WBCs are basically 4000 to 11,000 per millimeter cube, and they are colorless, they don't have hemoglobin. Now they can ask you 5 types of WBCs. So they are eosinophil, basophil, neutrophil, monocytes and lymphocytes. Most common among them is neutrophils. Okay, roughly 60 to 70% are neutrophils. Second most common is lymphocytes, which are 20 to 25%. Rest like monocytes are just 6%, and basophils are the least, less than 1%, and eosinophils are 2 to 3%. Then you have platelets, which are responsible for clotting of the blood, and they are roughly 1.5 to 4 lakh per millimeter cube. So RBCs are like much, 99% of the blood cells are RBC, if not 99%, at least 90 to 95%. Then your blood groups is important. So 18.1.3, A, B, AB and O. So they can ask you, father is A, mother is B, what are the possible blood groups in the baby? Answer is all the 4 are possible. Then RH grouping is there, RH positive, RH negative, erythroblastis, vitalis, Y2BD, anti-D injections, so they become important. Coagulation of blood or blood clotting, just have a basic idea. Then lymph, so what is lymph? So basically when blood passes at a very high force, some of it leaks out, and lymph system basically brings it back to the circulatory system. Now there are various types of circulatory system. Open circulatory system is present in arthropods, they don't have vessels. Basically they open into the large spaces, and closed respiratory system is present in human beings, etc. Now in case of human, we have heart, which is like 4 chambers, 2 atrium, 2 ventricle. So try to read the chapter 18.2, figure 18.2, it becomes important. Then SA node, AVN node, cardiac cycle, just have a brief idea about how it works. Then what is stroke volume, then have a brief idea about ECG, at least full form, and what is double circulation. So for that, try to have 18.4 basic understanding, and disorders includes like high BP, coronary artery disease, angina, heart failure, etc. Then you have chapter 19, excretory products and their elimination. So like there are 3 types of usual animals. Ammonia, it is seen in aquatic because it is readily soluble in water. And you have ureotelic, which secretes urea like human beings. And then you have uricotelic, uric acid, for example reptiles, birds, etc. So human excretory system, basically try to read the figure 19.1, it will help you. And then 19.2 talks about kidney, basic structure of kidney. Just remember functional unit of kidney is nephron, and nephron has 5 parts. I don't think that much detail is required at your level. Then urine formation, what is the use of glomerulus? So glomerular filtrate, GFR, reabsorption. The function of PCT, Henle's loop, DCT, just have a rough idea what are we are talking about. Collecting ducts, etc. How does the concentration happens? Okay. Then regulation of kidney function, renin, angiotensinogen. Then atrial natriuretic factor, one of the hormones secretes by the heart. Heart also secretes hormones, by the way. Okay. So then you have micturition. Micturition means urination, and role of other organs in excretion, like there is skin, there is lungs, etc. Now disorders of kidney, so basically uremia, and then you have dialysis, etc. If renal failure happens, then kidney stone, glomerulonephritis, etc. Then you have chapter 20, which talks about locomotion and movement. ठीक है, तो locomotion क्या होता है? Basically when you move, voluntary movement, they are called as locomotion. And there are 3 types of muscles which you need to understand: skeletal muscles, smooth muscles and cardiac muscles. So 3 तरह की मसल्स होती हैं एंड कार्डियक मसल्स नेवर स्टॉप बेसिकली दे go on throughout for 70-80 years. Then actin, myosin, basic, what are these strands, and structure of contractile protein, mechanism of muscle contraction, and then you have basically skeletal system. Try to read about axial skeleton and appendicular skeleton. Like one of them have there are total 206 bones, one of them have 80 bones, and one of the axial skeleton has 80 bones and appendicular skeleton has 120 bones. Like vertebral columns, they have a lot of vertebrae, sternum, ribs. We have 12 pairs. Each hand is made up of 30 bones. Each leg is made up of 30 bones. So you total have 120 bones, 30 into 4. And pectoral girdle, pelvic girdle. Type of joints is important. Like fibrous joints, cartilaginous joints, synovial joints. Then you have hinge joint, pivot joint. Try to remember, this becomes important. 20.4, page number 312. Then disorders of muscular system includes myasthenia gravis, muscular dystrophy, tetany, arthritis, osteoporosis, gout, etc. Then you have chapter 21, neural control and coordination. So basically it talks about the nervous system. Just have a very brief idea. There are two types of nervous system, CNS and PNS. CNS includes brain and spinal cord. Everything else is basically the peripheral nervous system. Even that is divided into two parts, somatic nervous system and autonomic nervous system. And even autonomic nervous system is divided into two parts, sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. So just try to have a basic idea of axon, dendrites, neurotransmitters, bipolar, unipolar, myelination, Schwann cells, node of Ranvier. So just basic names will suffice. Then action potential and which elements are involved, sodium, potassium, chloride, what is the synapse and what is the synaptic cleft, how the neurotransmitters are released. CNS, just basic structure of brain, diagram 21.4 will help you a lot. Then your forebrain, midbrain, hindbrain, just what are included in them. Then reflex arc is important, so read 21.5. Then basic structure of human eye on 21.6. Then mechanism of vision and basic structure of ear. So that is all you should know. And how do we hear. And last chapter finally is chapter 22, that is chemical coordination and integration. So this is important. Okay, hormones are important. So how do it function? So human endocrine system, figure 22.1 is important here. Please read it carefully. All the endocrine glands are mentioned here. Then you have hypothalamus, pituitary gland. Then what are the hormones secreted by them? Pineal gland, thyroid gland, use of iodine in thyroxine, parathyroid hormone, thymus, adrenal gland. So basically various type of hormones etc. are secreted. Then pancreas, 99% of the pancreas is exocrine, but 1 to 2% islets of Langerhans is endocrine. Alpha cells, beta cells. Then you have testis, ovary, they also secretes sex hormones. Then hormones of heart, kidney and GIT. Heart, I already have told you, secretes ANF. Kidney also secretes an hormone called erythropoietin, and GI tract also secretes a lot of hormones. So basically there are 3-4 types of hormones. Basically there are two types, protein and steroids, and you also have iodothioronins like thyroid hormones, amino acid derivatives like epinephrine. So that is all about the class 11th NCERT. So I have covered class 11th and class 12th NCERT. So thank you for watching this. Have an awesome day.